Bek Lover.
Oh, it's another day here at the Comeback Team Studios. This is your host, Bek Lover. And you're watching another episode of the Interesting Times podcast right here on the Bek Lover podcast, where I gather all the news, all the stories, everything that's going on in the world, things you might know about, things you might not know about, or what you thought you know about. I give you my spin on what's happening out there in this crazy world of ours. And I always use the spiritual guidance that I have in my life as a buffer to try to predict what might be coming down the road. So welcome to another episode as we climb the charts. Top 150 news podcast in the world. And I want to thank all of you for doing that. So make sure you smash that subscribe button because you will be entertained. Are you not entertained? While you are informed. So welcome. There's a lot going on. There's so much I want to cover on this episode. I apologize for missing yesterday. I got caught up. I was really busy. It's not easy being a dad and a world famous podcaster. But I try to balance the two. And as a dad, you have a duty. That's the problem with a lot of men in this world. They put their children on the back burner. And a few times in my life when things got out of control and work and this and that and problems, and sometimes you're still doing better than most dads, but you always feel guilty when you miss anything with your children. A basketball game, a promise to take them out. It's very trying on the soul. So if you're a hardworking dad or mom out there, especially if you're a single parent, my heart goes out to you. You know, don't beat yourself up. You know how much you love your children. I'm sure they do too. And kids can be mean sometimes when you break a promise. So yesterday I had to make sure I was there for my kids. I promised them something. Tonight I got to take them to a basketball game at 9 o'clock at night. So I'm knocking out an early pod. But let's jump into it. I'm going to be covering on this episode the drones that are being spotted all over New Jersey and the world. I'm going to be covering the fall of Syria. I'm going to be covering what I call the desensitized generation, or as you've heard me in many viral clips, the Easter Bunny generation, a generation that is beautiful on the outside, appearance-wise, but empty and hollow on the inside. And I'm going to talk about Floyd Mayweather getting attacked in the UK. I'm going to be talking about everyone that's making these memes and these funny jokes about Luigi Mangione and a lot of the stuff that's surrounding what a lot of people are starting to say doesn't make sense with the guy. But I did find some interesting things to talk about. So let's start right here in the New Jersey, New York City area. New York Post reports, security experts share startling theory about who may be behind mysterious drones in New Jersey and why. The mysterious drones that have been tormenting New Jersey residents for weeks could be a part of a top-secret government program, security experts told the Post Tuesday, as lawmakers push for answers over the troubling sightings. The feds have been mum about the daily drone activity in Morris, Passaic, Bergen, and Hunterdon counties and beyond since the gizmos were first spotted on November 18th. We're pushing almost a month later. A month later, in America, one of the most technologically advanced countries, we boast people like Elon Musk who cover the skies in satellites that will span and cover the entire earth, who can shoot rockets up into space, supposedly, and bring them right back to the spot that they landed on. And with all this technology in a month, they can't figure out anything and make an official statement. Do you really believe that? They're not scrambling the jets. Scramble the jets. Where's Maverick and Top Gun? But we're allowing drones to fly over the most densely populated state in the country, next to the most important city in America, New York City. We're talking about miles away from New York City, folks. You're telling me they don't know? Or they don't know enough to say we really don't know and we don't know and this could be a threat. It just doesn't make any sense. I agree. This is something they do know. This is a psyop, in my opinion. They're testing the grounds for something they're bringing forward. How are people going to respond? Can we fool them just with a couple of these high-tech machines that we have? That's what I think it is. For all these people that think it's UAPs and aliens. No, it's not aliens, okay? And if they thought it was a real threat, we'd have F-16s flying around all day in the sky like we did on 9/11. But we have all these things flying over one of the most important cities in the world, and you hear nothing coming from these officials. It's a joke. My first guess is these are potentially government programs kept within what's known as Special Access Program, which is purposely put together to keep even the most cleared people out. If truly is to keep it secret, said Clint Emerson, a retired Navy SEAL and owner of a security company, Escape the Wolf. That's why the government's like, we don't know. They're being truthful, he said, adding that the circle could be as small as a dozen officials. They don't even know the program exists. Emerson said, it's impossible to know what the drones might be doing, but he suspects the secret is the technology they're carrying, not the devices themselves. It could be different types of collection capabilities, so different types of cameras like high definition, infrared, or thermal. A second payload, for instance, could be hardware that grabs all the cell phone data in a given environment. So they're probably doing something that they don't want us to know about, or testing our response so they can plan something later, in my humble opinion, of this grossly corrupt government, in my opinion, that is not supposed to be secretive with the American people, but should be telling us what the fuck they're doing, especially over our houses. How much data can we collect with this? Let's say we got 10 drones, they fly in a grid. How much cell phone traffic can we pick up? Not actual conversations, but just the signature of millions of cell phones. What can 10 drones pick up going over an area? I promise you they could pick up a lot more than that. I promise you they have technology to listen and take everything right out of your phone. To my understanding, that technology already exists. Like they could keep it like a little USB type device right next to them. And if they stand next to a potential target, they can take all the tech off their phone. This is what I've heard off the record from people that have worked in law enforcement. I don't know if anybody can drop a comment here and confirm that, but that's what I've been told. Not related to this. If that's what it is, the people running it wouldn't have to say a word. The beauty of a special access program is they're kind of in their own lawless little world. They can do whatever they want and they don't have to tell anybody. Well, I think that's government overreach, especially with the pandemonium it's creating, the chaos it's creating. People are just shooting all types of theories and nonsense and looking up in the sky. You know, we're not guinea pigs for the government. And this has happened many times throughout American history where they've done things, even released chemicals and trials and all this other stuff that I don't want to even get into here. You can go and do your own research. Completely, they've done it to military personnel. It's just unacceptable. We're not your guinea pigs. The American people are not your guinea pigs. Not for your chemicals, not for your drugs, not for your treatments, not for your technology. So this is what I've been saying, and let's see some of the comments here. It says, feds have plenty of airspace over barren landscape to test drones without bothering highly populated areas. I'm thinking private industry testing drones to test gathered data for some future use. They could be avoiding government regulations, which are expensive to overcome or comply. Tell me you didn't read the article without telling me you didn't read the article. Well, clearly. The American government has a long history of testing drugs, surgical procedures, radiation exposure, and mind control on the unknowing public. Flying drones to capture electronic data seems like a no-brainer. But the government does not need drones to do surveillance or capture data. They can do that easily without low-flying drones. Military-directed energy weapons, however, do have a limited range. The beauty of a special access program is they're kind of in their own lawless. Excuse me if they don't see it. So basically, this is the debate, man. Everyone's going nuts. Now, if we look at some of the videos, this is on my Instagram, which you should be following, at Bek Lover NYC, at B like boy, E like Edward, K like Kimberly, Lover NYC, and I post tons of content on there. And please also follow on X. I'm losing the battle on X. I need your help. I need your support. Let's see. Well, the story's gone already. Wow. So we're going to get to that in a second. So U.S. Military Research Center denies New Jersey drones are theirs.
We don't have a greater sense of urgency here. It's unreal. This could be a dry run. This could be a potential attack. They don't know a thing about it. Here with more, Fox News contributor.
So again, this is national news right now. The base commander of New Jersey Military Research Center said the mysterious drones flying over the area are not theirs, but confirmed sightings to a local media outlet. While the source and cause of the aircraft operating in our area remain unknown, we can confirm that they are not a result of any Picatinny arsenal-related activities. I have no idea what that means. The local media outlet reported that the Picatinny Arsenal military base has recorded 11 confirmed sightings overhead since November 13. Reports of large drones flying over different parts of the Garden State, including President-elect Trump's Bedminster golf course and near military research sites, have been on the rise in recent weeks. The FAA first received reports of drone activity November 18th in Morris County, which is nearly 2 miles north of Trump National Golf Club Bedminster in Somerset County. The drones have been seen nightly in some areas and are occasionally reported traveling in groups. And the most sophisticated government in the world with the greatest technology can't tell us what's going on, and you fall for it. I believe it's a psyop, or they're gathering information they don't want us to know why they're gathering it. That's all there is to it. For all you alien God-worshipping people who believe we were created by aliens, people like Billy Carson, which I am going to drop a special on Billy Carson, and I'm also going to be addressing Wes Huff on a lot of his false allegations. Just like he's accused Billy, and proven, in my opinion, that he's made critical errors with his sources, I'm also going to debunk a lot of Wes Huff's material coming soon. So stay posted and make sure you sub to the YouTube channel. And maybe I'll release some of that here. I don't know. Leave me comments. Where do you guys want to watch this content? Get into the desensitized generation that we live in. The McDonald's worker, by now, you've all heard of it. They helped the cops trace Luigi Mangione, might not get the $60K reward. Here's why. The McDonald's employee who helped police train Brian Thompson's killer may not receive the hefty $60,000 reward. After all, it has been revealed. I was just thinking about that today. I feel like, how many people have ever received a reward? You know, if you see something, say something, you get the reward and all that. They can just say, well, you're not the first person that called this. I mean, if you're out there and you ever received money for being a rat, let me know. I'd love to just confirm that they actually pay this money out. The McDonald's employee who helped police trace the 26-year-old suspect in the murder of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, might not receive the hefty $60,000 reward. After all has been revealed, Luigi Mangione allegedly gunned down Thompson in a targeted attack in New York last week. Mangione was taken into custody at McDonald's restaurant in Altoona, Pennsylvania, December 9th. He was apprehended after an employee reportedly alerted cops. The New York Police Department offered a reward of $10,000 for anyone who had information. The FBI added $50,000 to the pot. The McDonald's worker said they saw Mangione acting suspiciously at the restaurant and seemed to be carrying fraudulent documents. He was subsequently arrested after officers found that he was in possession of fake IDs, a ghost gun, silencer, clothes, and a mask that matched the one Thompson shooter was seen wearing. This is where the internet is now pushing back. This guy who, when you watch that video, seems like straight out of a movie, straight out of The Bourne Identity, straight out of, Ronin with Robert De Niro, trained and professional to the T, took all these precautions, covered his face the entire time, took a city bike, disappears in Central Park, but he keeps all the evidence on him. A lot of people having a hard time with that. And they're also saying this guy has one unibrow, which is very hard to grow. Now, I understand the differences in camera angles and pixels, but there's a lot to be left here that many people don't think matches up. However, there's a lot being dumped online. But what I find, and I'm going to get back to that in a second, what I find disturbing, regardless, and I agree, the insurance industry is evil. There's so many times they denied claims to people who have paid their premiums, life insurance policies. These people, that's why insurance is forbidden in Islam. It's forbidden. These people take billions and billions of dollars a year, and then they give you a hard time. Speak to people that have lost their houses in floods and fires, and they're always looking for a way to not pay you. When the second you don't pay, you get in trouble. The entire industry needs to be overhauled. You want to talk about agencies that should be doged by Elon and revamped? It's the regulators that should be regulating these companies. But the problem is these companies have billions of dollars. They lobby. They get senators and congressmen to change rules that protect the American people, and that's what's creating the backlash. Regardless, I understand people have lost family, lost their homes, lost a lot of stuff because insurance didn't cover certain things that they should have. There shouldn't be pre-existing conditions. Everyone in America, supposed to be the greatest country in the world, has some of the worst coverage in the world. So people are having no sympathy because they're like, this millionaire got gunned down by supposedly someone who's denied coverage. And basically, it's like a Robin Hood story. Finally, someone struck back. Regardless of that, I think it's wrong to celebrate the annihilation of a human being, even if they're really considered bad, which we don't know Brian Thompson by those standards. We know his industry. I think it lacks empathy as a human being. You know, he has family, he has children. You know, I'm not saying these people are not evil, you know, the whole industry is, but they have children. And to see your family being mocked, like in this video, reenacting the shooting, I think just shows how desensitized we become to the act of taking life. As people that believe in God, you know, this is not something you should celebrate. And it's not something you should joke around about. You know, this guy had kids. This guy had a family. He may deserve it based on your standards and rulings, but I don't think his family deserves to see the mockery of their son's death. Let's play this video.
On a workout routine with me. First, I start my workout in front of the Hilton, New York, and do 50 pistol squats. And once I'm done with those bad boys, I transition to a sprint to the nearest city bike station, hurdle jumping over some cop cars along the way. Then
So the plot thickens with the United Healthcare CEO who is no longer with us. And the suspected shooter, did you see his social media? This is insane. So they've arrested this guy, Luigi Mangione.
I want to pull this up. This is very important, so give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up because this video was very interesting, and I need to find his name, Shane Vibes _truth. Shane Vibes _truth. Let's see if we can pull that up. Is this him? Yes, I think we found him. He's got a decent following, 436,000. Here we go. Let's play this clip.
Thickens with the United Healthcare CEO who is no longer with us. And the suspected shooter, did you see his social media? This is insane. So they've arrested this guy, Luigi Mangione, and his Twitter just looks normal. There's nothing too crazy. You have a picture of him backpacking in what looks like perhaps Hawaii. Then you have an x-ray of the surgery that it's believed he underwent, which is what some are saying radicalized him because he wasn't covered under his parents' healthcare insurance anymore because he was 26 years old. And then you have this Pokemon, and you may think, oh, it's just a Pokemon. What's the big idea? But here's where it gets a little bit weird. This Pokemon has a number. It's called Breloom, and his number is 0286. Well, if you type in Proverbs 286, better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. The interpretation is that this can refer to dishonest business practices or blatant corruption. And strangely still, look at the number of posts Luigi has currently up on his Twitter, 286. And this Pokemon also has a function or an attack called Bullet Seed. But some people are pointing out that it's very strange. Usually all these shootings that happen in New York, they never find out who was behind it. But this professional freaking seemingly hitman has a full social media profile and all this encoded stuff in it. Very strange. So the plot thick.
Also, what's strange about that Pokemon is it only has one eye. That Pokemon, that's my observation. That is a very interesting observation by this. Many people, I would say the general public that's very awake, believes that there's this foul play here. Something just doesn't add up. Something doesn't make sense here. And again, the internet is full of these theories right now. What are your thoughts? Did this kid that they got in Pennsylvania, does it make sense he had everything on him? When you watch that video and you watch that analysis, does it make sense? Does it make sense? I don't think so. I really, really don't. He evades New York City, the most, busy place in the country. He does everything by the book except get rid of the evidence and keep it on him with some fake ID. I mean, I don't think he was that dumb. This guy was valedictorian, a genius. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Honest to God, it doesn't make sense. Let's see what
Did
else
you
they say
guys
about
hear the latest allegations involving Jay-Z and P. Diddy? So we all know that allegedly the police found 1,000 bottles of baby oil when they were raiding one of P. Diddy's dwellings. And that was shocking. But now Jay-Z is brought into this, facing serious allegations in a civil lawsuit where they're accused of blank a 13-year-old girl at an after party. Now, the thing is, this is a big club that we aren't in. I'm sure none of you have this same brand of sweaters that these two folks are wearing and that I do wonder the significance of. You can guess below. But I'll tell you, it's interesting. We never find out that these A-list, celebrities were secretly doing good things without being in the public eye. It is always seemingly the opposite. It makes you wonder if the whole entertainment industry is rotten to the core in itself. Comment your thoughts below.
Makes you wonder. I've done specials on the origins. I've covered these topics. People like Aleister Crowley. Unless you know that name, you know nothing about the world we live in and the influence on Hollywood, music, and all of it. The Beatles even had him in their cover picture of the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. There's a lot that's been going on in the shadows, and may God bring it to the light. May the glory of God, I like saying that, the glory of God, may the light shine these people out of their shadows. All the truth. All we ask for is, oh God, please just reveal the truth. Let the world see the truth. And then if we don't respond and take care of this, then we deserve to be destroyed. We deserve, if we know the truth, to be destroyed. But that's the problem. People are seeing UFOs and aliens. We really don't give a shit. We see people getting gunned down in the streets. We make jokes about it. We see women selling themselves publicly for a few dollars on the internet. We see the destruction of the family unit. We see so much wrong morally for those of us that still have some morals in this country and the world, that we've been so desensitized by the content and the message and the music and everything that has been weaponized, in my opinion, to shatter your heart, your soul, and your reason, to make you numb, to make you so desensitized that basically we're like walking zombies. We are such a desensitized world that even violence now is a joke. We joke about it. If people joke like this in the old days, they would have accused them of being mentally ill or demonically possessed. And I think that's what's going on. So we live in a crazy, crazy time. So many people are, just don't care, man. They just don't care about nothing. As long as it's not me, I don't care. We live in a very dangerous time. Okay, there's so much going on. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Russian pipe bomb hoax kills innocent woman. A woman is dead after police in Georgia received an email from a Russian IP address claiming the sender had left a pipe bomb in Marjorie Taylor Greene's mailbox. A police officer with the bomb squad who was driving to meet his colleagues at a headquarters hit another car, killing its driver. The Rome Police Department said in a press release, "I'm heartsick right now," Green wrote in a post on X. The department received an email Friday night with the subject for Palestine that said the sender had created a pipe bomb using a 1 to 8 inch threaded galvanized pipe, end caps, a kitchen timer, some wires, metal clips, etc. It's set to go off during the weekend, but it would also explode the next time anybody opens the mailbox. Even if Majoria does not open the mailbox herself, I'm still satisfied with the prospect of some pigs losing their lives or being injured. Viva, viva Palestina. The message originally went to the department's spam folder before it was discovered on Monday morning. The email included a correct home address for the Congresswoman, so the assistant police chief contacted Green's team. They confirmed the Congresswoman wasn't there and sent the bomb squad to check the mailbox, which was empty. But the situation turned deadly when one of the officers responding to the threat got into an accident on his way to the police headquarters. Okay, it's just horrible what's going on. The amount of division, especially over what's going on in the Middle East. And it's just, people are at their boiling point. Maybe these drones are monitoring our energy to see what depression level are the people at. Can we institute the next phase of our plan for global dominance? I mean, people are just desensitized. People are beaten down so much emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially that they're breaking. And unless you have that strong resilience and faith in the Creator and you understand what might be coming next for all of us, a lot of people just ain't going to get through these times. Mental illness is at an all-time high. We have lost our fucking minds, literally, as Americans. I'll play a video from this clip of them. Well, that's just a snapshot of the bomb squad in front of her house. Syria, everyone's celebrating. And I will never defend the actions of Bashar al-Assad. But be careful what you wish for. Be careful in this time of deception where up is down and down is up. Because what might come later, you might be begging for the guy to come back. Now, from the Islamic perspective, we were told towards the end of time, the leaders of the Muslim people would be the worst of our people, the biggest hypocrites, the biggest liars. And whatever new leaders come might fall into that. We're praying that the people of Syria have peace. But my prediction is it will spiral into much worse than what happened in Iraq after its fall. I think it's only a matter of time. And I think the Western powers have done everything in their power to destabilize that country. Not backing Bashar al-Assad, but who's collapsing it. And for these people that say, oh, this is good news. Well, is it? It depends what your views are. Is it good for balance of power between East and West? Maybe not. This will lead to further dominance in that region that so many claim to say, well, we're against the colonial powers and we're against the U.S. and what they've done. Well, this benefits them. So if you're on that side, I'm just stating opinions here. Syrian rebel fighters set fire to the tomb of Bashar al-Assad's father. Okay. There are essentially three ways could pose a threat. IS could pose a threat in New Syria. Prison breakout if the Syrian Kurds who guard the prisons and camps hold IS captives come under so much military pressure from Turkey and its allied militia that there is a risk that the Kurds could be forced to abandon them. IS has long vowed to free its captives and rebuild its presence in the region. The leadership of the main victorious rebel group, HCS, formally split from Al-Qaeda in 2016, but Al-Qaeda have wasted no time in calling on Islamist rebels to now turn their guns on non-Muslims. The new government will need to be wary of infiltration by either IS or AQ. General confusion. Syria, at least much of it, has spent the last 54 years in the grip of a brutally repressive authoritarian regime. Recent examples in the Arab world have tended to point to chaos following the removal of such regimes. Correct. America's taking no chances here to prevent and discourage Islamic State from trying to take advantage of the change of regime in Syria. The U.S. Air Force has conducted dozens of strikes on their positions in central Syria. So, very interesting. Let's go to Jimmy Dore on this clip. And I have to agree, and as someone that walked out of the World Trade Center Plaza the day it was hit, I feel nothing but used, betrayed by our people. And none of it makes sense. And the fact that they were supporting these rebels who they've called terrorists themselves and ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all this shit, and then all of a sudden they're propping them up, and then right away Israel's moving in and swapping land and not far from Damascus, and it's pretty clear to see who's been supporting what. It's funny, man. But most Americans don't know about what's going on in America, let alone the Middle East. That's why if you're watching this show from around the world, don't be mad at the average American. As someone that has lived here his entire life, I want you to understand this, especially if you live in the Arab world, if you live in the Muslim world. Americans are not bad people. They are spiritually devoid at this moment in time. They've been dumbed down over the last 5 decades. They've had their morality destroyed, their family unit destroyed. They've been fed materialism and consumerism. They are more worried about just getting through the day, drinking some beers and playing Xbox. The average American, that is. There's a lot of Americans who are awakened and have awakened in the last 10 years and realize the game that's been had, that they've pinned all of us against each other worldwide. Don't hate the American people. Hate those that misuse the American people. Most Americans just want peace. They don't want these wars, especially after the last 25 years and we review everything that's been done. We're going to take out the Taliban. We left Afghanistan with the Taliban in power with more weapons than ever and still sent them money. We took out ISIS. No, you didn't. You just used them to overthrow Syria. You funded them. You gave them weapons. They overthrew that regime. You sell these wars to the American people that they're terrorists, and you use them and you keep them in power. Maybe you're going to wipe them out, but all you've done is destabilize I'm not saying Bashar Assad was good. The question is, will he be worse than what might be coming next? If I was an Iraqi and I lost my whole family in the Iraq war, what happened after Saddam fell, as bad as Saddam was, I might have been like, listen, at least when he was alive, I didn't lose my kids. Ask the people that have lost their family in war. You have 1 million dead Iraqis. Ask people that have lost their family in war. What would you rather have? So I don't know. I can't speak for the Iraqi people. I can't speak for the Syrians. I can't claim to be an expert, even though I follow this. I've been following it for years, even though most of the signs of the end of world in the religion of Islam start in the Syrian region. It's also known as Sham. That's how it's written in the Muslim scriptures, Sham. And this is supposedly the area where all the greatest battles will happen. The Antichrist will appear in that region. Jesus Christ, on some narrations, peace and blessings be upon him, they're quoted as he ascends into Damascus. So are we in that spiritual? Is this it? Is the final battle being set up? I mean, I don't know. God knows. Let's see what Jimmy Dore had to say about Al-Qaeda now in charge of Syria. He only gets 64,000 views on this one.
Come see us doing live thing. Throwing gay people off a building, that kind of thing. That's in charge of Syria. And how did I know that this guy was going to be in charge of Syria? Because they did this just a week ago. How Syria's diversity-friendly jihadists plan on building the state. So now they're woke-washing the jihadists who have been torturing.
Oh, and if you don't believe that this is true, here's the article from Politico. Has Syrian rebel leaders Al-Golani really shaken off his Al-Qaeda past? Can you explain to the American people, can you explain to someone like me who came out from underneath the World Trade Center the day it was hit by Al-Qaeda, how you can justify this to Americans, to our military service women and men that gave their lives and risked their lives to go all over the world to fight against terrorism? Can you explain how you literally have supported this? Please explain. Has Syrian rebel leader Al-Golani really shaken off his Al-Qaeda past? The Leopard claims he has changed his spots, but he will bring stability to the devastated nation. In the not-so-distant past, Syrian rebel leader Abu Muhammad al-Golani sported a long, unkempt beard, wore a style of turban favored by jihadis, and looked like he was auditioning for the role of a young Osama bin Laden. But the man who toppled the regime of Bashar al-Assad on Sunday cuts a very different figure today. Like a political chameleon, he wears green fatigues in the style of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, or preppy blazers and chinos, and his beard is neatly trimmed. He even recently dropped his nom de guerre and reverted to using his real name, Ahmed Hussein al-Shara. But how convincing is the makeover? Should Syrians be worried that a man who once made the Pledge of Allegiance, or Bay'ah, to the Al-Qaeda and fought Western forces in Iraq is now the most powerful man in their country and is poised to play a major role in the transition from the 54-year-long autocracy of the Assad dynasty? He could even lead the country. Is this the case where the apparel really does proclaim the man? Has the Damascus medical school dropout generally transitioned from being a jihadi, or is he an embrace of toleration, a ruse? Those are the questions Western leaders and officials are also grappling with as they plot their next steps. They've already plotted. They already know who this guy is. They already know what his next steps are. Which means if he stays in power and they don't drop a bunker buster on him like they did in all these other conflicts in the last year that we've been watching on live television, on X, on YouTube, then he's their puppet. He propped them up. He's going to go along. The question will be, is Israel going to keep all this land that they're moving in right now seconds after Syria fell? They got time, though. They haven't found the hostages yet, but they got resources to push all the way up to almost Damascus. It was about the hostages. That's their top priority, 100%. 100%, everything that's happened, 40,000 men, women, and children lost their lives, being almost starved to death. 100%, they have time now to go all the way into Syria because they know. 100% they know who this guy is. You explain to the American people why you're propping them up. Why would you ever support Al-Qaeda if they blew up our buildings, or anyone that was affiliated with them or fought for them? You tell that to the American people. You explain to the American people how you are supporting anyone that was even ever affiliated with Al-Qaeda, and then ask us to cry every September 11th. You explain that to the American people. You don't care about the American people.
People in Syria who's they're the people throwing gay people off a building, that kind of thing. That's who these are. And now they're woke washing them. Alan McLeod, I can't believe this is real. This is real.
Oh, it is real. It is real. It
This
is
is
real. I'm
real.
sorry. It's real. It's real.
Anything?
It's real, yeah.
Do you want to
can't
tell me
believe it. It's
anything
real.
about this guy, Richard?
It's fucking real.
Yeah, I just find this absolutely incredible that the Telegraph published a headline like that and an article like that, because I was arrested under the Terrorism Act because of my reporting on Palestine. But you're not going to see the police arrest any of the journalists at the Telegraph. And I'm not saying they should, but I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy. You're not going to see counter-terrorist police arresting them on a plane at Heathrow for glorifying HTS, which is a prescribed organization. It's on the list of banned groups, just as it is in the US. But the Terrorism Act, they're trying to amend it now to actually remove Jolani and HTS, which is Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda in Syria rebranded under the name of Al-Nusra Front, and then Al-Nusra Front became Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which is HTS. It's still Al-Qaeda. And that tweet you're showing on the screen, if you look at the ones just above it, which are posted by the so-called US Embassy in Syria, which was just online, actually, they even say that no matter what name they use, it's still Al-Qaeda in Syria. Okay.
Oh, don't you see, those of you in the Muslim world? The American people have been played for the last 25 years. Sold these stories of these invisible enemies. When they use them as an enemy for a few years to justify war, then they use them as an ally to destabilize other countries. It is what it is. Jimmy Dore's been doing some amazing work as a podcaster and host. Shout out to Jimmy Dore and respect. Make sure you follow his show. He does a phenomenal job. You explain this stuff to me. Syrian rebels name new PM as outside powers move to shore up interest. Israel plans to create sterile defensive zone inside southern border, and Turkey bombs Kurdish targets in North Syria. Syria's leading rebel group has named a new prime minister to head the country's transitional government as outside powers move to shore up their interest in the wake of Assad's regime collapse. The new prime minister, Mohammed al-Bashir, previously ran an administration Idlib under the control of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, the strongest of the rebel groups which have moved into Damascus and other cities. Bashir said in a brief address on state television that he had been meeting members of transitional government and the Assad regime. Now it is a time for the people to enjoy stability and calm. Let's see if that happens. I predict chaos. I predict insurgent war. I predict a war amongst the factions in there. That's what I predict. The Turkish attacks on the SDF put into question the viability of the small U.S. military presence in northern Syria, as well as in SDF-run prison camps where ISIS fighters and their families have been held. U.S. troops there operate in partnership with the SDF. The Biden administration, with less than 6 weeks left to run, may they fucking just get out of office already. Please just get the fuck out of office already. Oh, just get out of office already, bro. The Syrian people will decide the future of Syria. All nations should pledge to support an inclusive and transparent process and refrain from external interference, Blinken said in the statement. But it's okay if we interfere. It's okay if we interfere, Turkey interferes, Israel interferes, but Russia can't interfere. I'm not backing the Russians, but it's double speak. Everyone should back the fuck off. Everyone should get back. Okay, stay on your side of the border. Let the Syrian people decide who their next president is. If you want to help them secure elections, not, play games, cool. But the Syrian people have the right to self-determination. Afghan refugee minister Khalil-ur-Rahman Haqqani killed in a blast. Khalil Haqqani entered government after the Taliban seized power following U.S.-led drawdown in 2021. Afghanistan's acting minister for refugees has been killed in an explosion in the capital, Kabul. Khalil-ur-Rahman Haqqani was killed on Wednesday in the blast that also claimed the lives of 5 others. Taliban spokesperson confirmed the killing. The Reuters news agency reported. Interior Ministry officials told the AP news agency the explosion was caused by a suicide bombing, a government source who asked to remain anonymous. There was no immediate claim for responsibility. He was a senior leader of the powerful Al-Qaeda network responsible for a number of violent attacks during the Taliban's 2-decade armed campaign, according to the U.S. State Department. This is reported by Al Jazeera. Israeli advances in Syria condemned by the UN. Navy bases destroyed. This is in Newsweek. So let's see what's going on here. So people are celebrating. They celebrated the same way in Iraq until all hell broke loose. And again, that's my prediction. My prediction is you're going to have factions. You're going to have ones that are supported. You're going to have chaos here, I think, very soon. Israel launched a series of airstrikes across Syria as troops pushed deeper into the country. The Syrian Opposition War Monitor reported on Tuesday. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed that forces had destroyed Syria's navy and emphasized plans to establish a demilitarized zone in southern Syria. Following the overthrow of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Israel acknowledged moving into a 400 square kilometer buffer zone created after the 1973 Mid-East War. My prediction, there will be destabilization. The I country will use it as an excuse to annex a big chunk of Syria. Mark my words on that. Katz said the military's goal was to create a zone free of weapons and terror threats without establishing a permanent Israeli presence. Let's see if that's true. Let's see if that's true. Just like they're going to allow people to return to Gaza, northern Gaza. Let's see. So far, it doesn't seem like that was the case. But they got time to do this. But where are the hostages, bro? Where are the hostages? So this area, is right along the border here. Okay? They've already moved into here. They're going into Damascus. The blue and the yellow. Where's the key that we just had there? The blue, Syrian National Army, Syrian Democratic Forces are in the purplish area. I'm a little colorblind, so forgive me. Israel Defense Forces are here in the dark blue, not far from Damascus. You can see them right here. So, interesting times indeed, my friends. Israel's Netanyahu decries absurd charges at corruption trial appearance. His own people are trying him for corruption, corrupt, no regard for human rights, for children, women. I just pray that he gets what he deserves. Appearing at a crowded courtroom in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, the embattled leader said that the charges leveled against him were an ocean of absurdity. Everything's absurd with him. Only he's right. Blowing up a building with 500 kids in it just to get one guy, that's not absurd, though. No, we're all absurd. His people that think he's corrupt he thinks they're absurd. Anyone that's against his level of response to how he handled what's going on over there, we're absurd because we don't want to see images of women and children all day being annihilated in tents and hospitals and fucking anywhere. There's nothing sacred or sancted to this guy. Only he's right. Only he has a right to take life. Only he has a right to decide what's morally right and wrong. Because if someone else of another country did that to his people, they would be in The Hague. But he won't even cooperate with the World Court. Hypocrite, liar, mass murderer. Russian troops are likely still at their key bases in Syria, and it will be obvious if they try to leave, senior analyst. Okay, that's another wild card, bro. If the Ruskies are still in Syria, anything could pop off right now. The Russian military is still stationed at its Syrian bases after the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government. Analysts say an evacuation will be easy to spot. The Kremlin has two major facilities in the country that were hosted by Assad and Tartus, Naval Base and the Khmeimim Air Base, which are crucial to Russian access to the Mediterranean and Africa. With Moscow's long-term access to those bases now under question, satellite images show that its warships have vacated Tartus since Monday. Several were spotted holding positions about 15 kilometers from the coast. It's unclear if the vessels will return, but satellite images also show that a full evacuation of Tartus hasn't happened. And if they have to leave Tartus, you could actually see some ships show up to help move things out. It's possible that Russia moved its ships temporarily out to sea to protect them while conditions in Syria remain uncertain. An air evacuation would take hundreds of sorties, not the handful identified yesterday. She wrote, when Russian forces deployed in Syria in 2015, they flew almost 300 sorties in 2 weeks, and that was before base expansion. The Kremlin hopes it won't have to evacuate, so that's an interesting story in the background. Syria's Kurds faced with all-out war as Turkey and Sunni allies target Kobani, and I believe that's what will happen. This thing will break out between the Kurds and the Sunnis, and you throw in a little bit of Shias, and now you have Iraq 2.0. Something happens to the I country, now they got to take more land. So, pay attention to this. Interesting times indeed. Now, for those that have publicly supported the response to how Israel's handled everything since October, you know what, George Floyd Mayweather, who would have been smart just to keep his fucking mouth shut, in my opinion, when you have two groups that are going at it, and one is being accused of crimes against humanity, stay out of it, man. There's no logic. Why are you going to hurt your brand, your money? Keep that belief to yourself. That would have been a smarter move, unless you're on the payroll, bro. And he went to, the UK, which is very heavily Muslim populated. This is a response he got. He got attacked. Watching a video courtesy TMZ.
Oh, shit.
Floyd's in the street. He gets surrounded by people that are pro-Palestinian. They're all out at him. They don't give a fuck that he's a billionaire and rich and a boxer. They're going to let him know how they feel. You see Floyd's bodyguards trying to hold back crowds. Pandemonium in the streets.
That looks so tacky. Go on, get him, go. You better go. You better go.
You can see there's a lot of Middle Eastern men calling him out. Not the place to visit right now, bro. Definitely not for Floyd Mayweather. I just wish people would treat politicians like this. Like, really just let them know when they walk into these restaurants and they think everything's fine, as they send our women and boys to die and our men to die in foreign wars, that they then give power back to these groups. Like when are the American people going to hold these politicians responsible? That's all. Donald Trump Jr. spotted with glam socialite Bettina Anderson, as sources say he and Kimberly Guilfoyle have split. So he's got a new girlfriend, supposedly. Let's see how she looks compared to the other one. Let's take a look at this broad. Same level. He ain't going to be serious with her either. Would you be serious with this? I wouldn't. But no consolation to her. She gets a job as a U.S. ambassador to Greece. Trump selects Kimberly for U.S. ambassador to Greece. So she now gets to go hang out in Mykonos and have a good time with the Greek boys out there. She's going to have a good time in Greece. It was worth dating the president's son to get that job, wasn't it? Nice consolation prize. She'll be in Mykonos sipping on pina coladas. She has diplomatic immunity in the Greek world. She's going to be eating a lot of gyros, and I ain't talking about the ones in the sandwich. This video went viral yesterday. Shows the Border Patrol. We have a new Border Patrol, bro. They know that Trump is coming in. They don't give a fuck right now. They're like, Trump's in office in less than a couple of weeks. U.S. Border Patrol agents warned of alleged revenge attack after agent ran over Mexican cartel member. This shows some men trying to cross the wall.
Yeah.
Warning, viewer discretion advised. Cop car coming. Fuck you. Boom. Boom. And what you can do if you're watching this, if you're listening, the cop car basically hits the guy in his butt and like he does a somersault in the air and lands on his ass. He got back up, so he's not dead. He basically got flipped. He's like, oh, you want to come to America? This is the new policy under Trump. You want to come to America? You're going to have to play Frogger. Welcome to America. Oof. Shit. Now, what I want to know is, how do they know that it's a cartel member? But it also says the Mexican cartel leaders have put a hit out against the U.S. Border Patrol along the San Diego sector after one of their members was run over by an agent. Agents were issued a warning on Thursday that retaliatory shooting could happen in the coming days after an incident from November 27 went viral. I suggest our agents just open fucking fire. That's what I suggest. Don't even wait to find out. Just open fire. Find out who they are later.
Oye, tú, pues, ¿de qué madres está hecho ese hombre? Tanto putazo.
We need to put landmines. You want to stop this shit? Put landmines, man. Seriously. It's that simple. You don't need a fucking wall. Put landmines all across the fucking border. You want to fuck around and find out? Go ahead. You see how fast this shit stops. Landmines across that motherfucker. You want to come into this country? You come through screening. You come the right way. You declare asylum at the border. They'll house you temporarily. You have your date in court. Like my cousin who never got in. He tried to get in. He couldn't get in. He stayed for a year in prison trying to be heard by the courts. They sent him back. One of my cousins. Okay? So, you want to come here, come the right way. Landmines, bro. That's what we need over there. Elon Musk on X. The guy that can't tell us what's happening in New Jersey. He can shoot rockets back and forth. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to go to fucking Mars, but they can't tell us about these drones in New Jersey. We're going to go to Mars with Elon Musk, and they can't tell us what's happening in New Jersey and what these drones are about. No, it's aliens. It's aliens. I know, it's aliens, right? It's aliens. Wake up, people. Psyop. It's got Psyop written all over it. What did he put here? Let's go, because it moves up. Scrolling down here, I saw something important. Forgot what it was, but I remember I saw something here I wanted to talk about. And I can't find it because it scrolls up. There's something good too. I don't know. But just funny, man. Funny world we're living in. Crazy. Merch sellers cash in on United Healthcare CEO killing. Deny, defend, depose. They're selling T-shirts, trolling the guy that got whacked. Again, I don't think it's nice to do to their family, man. Here's another reason why it's become like mainstream view. This is on Piers Morgan.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
Because...
So this woman goes on Piers Morgan and is basically laughing about this guy getting whacked. And I get it. People are pissed, man. The system's broken.
Because it wouldn't fix the
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question
A
funny.
bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
People are fed up, man. Ex-defense chief in South Korea tried to take his own life after being arrested over martial law. We have volatility everywhere right now. And if you want to know if things are getting better inflation-wise, they're not. Shot up 2.7% in November. So continue to enjoy more and more expensive goods as they keep printing and 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 printing until collapse, until they push us into crypto and their own version of a digital prison. I promise you that's the future if things remain the same. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bek Lover Podcast, Interesting Times edition. Stay tuned here where I will continue to bring you some of the greatest content possible. And I'm going to be producing shows and specials and interviews and much more. Follow my sister podcast, that's also mine, The Comeback Team. The link is already up. I need some subscribers on there. That is strictly going to be for interviews and special types of content. Make sure you follow that on Spotify and the YouTube channel, The Comeback Team. This is your boy, Bek Lover. Living in an interesting world. Interesting times. Make sure you stay tuned and hit that sub button. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope I helped you see the world a little different. Till the next time.